Hi, welcome.
Hello, everybody.
This is Rockin the Love, and I'm Robyn.
And I am Gil, and we're excited to have you here today in July of 2022.
Yeah, we didn't have you last week.
That's true. I was missing in action, but I am back. I spent the week with a bunch of teenagers, and now I know how old I am. So it was good. It was very good.
Well, say more about it. What do you do at Science of Mind Teen Camp?
Oh my gosh. So yes, this was CSL Teen Camp, and we had about 100 plus or minus kids in Oregon at the brand new camp that CSL just purchased. And the fun part for me, the most gratifying part for me was just how incredibly open and available these kids are to one another, to us, willing to share their stuff, willing to work through what's going on for them, and really willing to support and love one another.
Great.
You know, they're not perfect, but they're pretty darn good. They're pretty darn good.
Well, they're just a reflection of you, right? So,
whew, if that's true, then I'm doing better than I thought. So that's good.
Well, that's great. That's great. I'm glad you had a good time. Well, while you were gone, let's see what happened in the world. So much is happening. I think for me, the week was just great just to have space. Just we didn't have any kids in the house. It was just me and my sister Courtney. We were free and wild women. So we got to go out to dinner and go to the movies and hang out and just not have the same pressure. It's different feeding two of us than it is feeding five of us.
Yeah, it's a little easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to dinner every night too, but it was in the mess hall. So, not quite the same.
But at least it was made for you.
That's true. It was. So then we got home and you did the show with Natasha. How was that? Is that good?
It was great.
All right, excellent. Great. I got to
a
pop
lot
in
of
and
you
say
met
hi.
Natasha last week, who will be coming on board at New Thought Media Network for us to do Girls Behaving Metaphysically, and we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to all of you watching that and just letting us know what you think. So it'll be fun. It's coming in September.
All right. So meanwhile, we want to invite everyone to check out the various places you can watch us on YouTube, on Facebook, etc. Please, whenever you go to any of those, subscribe, like, tell your friends, whatever you need to do. That's always very helpful. And during the show, when you're on live with us, we want to be live with you. So talk to us. Tell us what you're thinking, what your responses are, if you have personal experience, all of that. We want to incorporate you right into the show because this show is about all of us.
So this week we were going to have a group from Sacramento, California, who's been working on diversity, and they're doing a show called Authentic Voices. However, something came up and we switched weeks. So they're going to be here next week. So you're going to want to make sure and catch that. We're going to do some theater pieces and really talk about diversity and different things that come up.
Well, how else will we be in relationship if we can't have our authentic voice? I think that's the thing that I learned at teen camp, actually.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So I think it's great. I think it's a really cool thing to explore about where is my authentic voice and can I hear others' authentic voice? And I think it even ties into what we're doing today, actually.
It does.
Do you want to say how?
Well, do you want to say what we're doing today?
Okay, what we're doing today. We're gonna have a chance to learn a bit from our guests about a conference called the Conference of the Americas. And it is in Mexico, and it's been done for several years.
In Lake Chapala.
And it's I don't know a lot about it personally because I'm excited about hearing more about it. But what I do know is it's a powerful experience for people, and there's a whole lot of love and commitment that's gone into building this up over the last few years to where it is now. And so we're excited to have our two guests with us to speak to that and speak to why it's important to spend time learning about and being in connection with people from different countries and different cultures and different backgrounds and all of that stuff.
Yes, and I think wherever you're watching from, whatever you're affiliated with, a New Thought movement, CSL, Agape, Unity, it doesn't matter. All of our organizations are global,
Mm-hmm.
and they all are global, and so we're really, if we're going to have a world that works for everyone, we need to be able to understand everyone and to really relate to everyone. And so I know that, it's been part of my mission to merge these worlds. And so I think that's one of the things that all of our conferences do, the Geneva conference, the Lake Chapala conference. I know that the practitioners conference and the ministers conference are now, beginning to have much more inclusion. And it's really important. So we're going to do and here's the good news segment. We're going to take a break and then we're going to bring our guests back.
Okay.
And here's the good news.
The good news is
this is the good news of the week. We're looking for the good news of the week. What do you got?
Okay. So this last week we had the chance to go to family camp. Family camp is something that happens that the particular one I'm talking about is the city of Oakland actually owns a camp near Quincy, California. And this is a week that various families go there, from a lot of them from Oakland, some from other parts of the Bay. And it's just a great opportunity to be with other people, to be in a totally different environment, and to be chewed up by mosquitoes. And what else happens there? We get to swim, we get to ride bikes, do crazy things. Good news is, for me, I survived 10 miles down a mountain on a mountain bike. That was an important piece of good news, because there were a couple points where I thought I might not make it back. So there you go.
Nice. Good news for me. Let me see. I think the good news for me, I like to look for global good news, but I did not this week. And I think that while you're talking about that camp, I think one of the good news for me is that everyone was so complimentary of our kids that were with us. And, when you live with kids and they're yours, you don't always experience them the way the rest of the world does. And quite often, I'll speak in the we category. We wonder really, like, if they're getting anything that we tell them, because it's not the side we see at home. So it's great to have them out there and have people go, those boys are so respectful. We're like, good to know. So it's good to know that that's working, and it made me feel good that they were so involved with everyone and had a good time.
And it's good to know that they really are learning how to maneuver in the world, even if it doesn't always look like it. And of course, if we're honest, it doesn't always look like I can maneuver in the world when I'm at home either. So, I think that it kind of makes sense.
I guess so.
Yeah, except sometimes it seems like it's never ending. But anyway, so good news. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So when we come back, we're going to be joined by our guest, Dr. Rebecca Pena and Peggy Shin. So stay tuned, grab something to drink, and get ready to learn a lot. And we'll see you right back here. Okay, welcome back. I'm Robin,
And I'm Gil,
and this is Rockin the Love.
and we are very excited for what's coming up next. So, you ready to start?
I'm ready.
Okay.
We are very excited. If you have been around anything to do with the Spanish speaking aspect of Centers for Spiritual Living, you have heard the name Dr. Rebecca Pena. She is amazing. I'm so excited to meet her today because all I ever hear are great things. So, Dr. Rebecca is the founder and the dean of the CSL School of Spiritual Leadership, and this is for the Spanish speaking world. She is a native of Mexico, and she's also a citizen of Canada. She has been teaching for a long time. It's her passion and a significant part of her life and her ministry. She graduated from Holmes Institute, the Huntington Beach campus, in 1997
Wow.
and received an honorary Doctor of Divinity in 2007. She founded Ciencia de la Mente Mexico I was going to keep going in Spanish, in 1999 and retired from the CDMX Center in 2010 to return to Canada. And that year she started to teach there and online. In 2013, she started the Convention of the Americas in Chapala as a place for her international online students and practitioners to meet in person, to gather. And the convention is bilingual and takes place in the first week of August every year. She is um, amazing, and you're going to learn much more about her. She's served through the CSL Global Services and the Spanish Task Force and AGNT and INTA and all the advisory committees. And her mission is really just to create and support all embracing beloved community for our Spanish speaking leaders, their students, and their groups. A global community supporting one another, sharing talents, ideas, and resources. That is our Rebecca.
Welcome, Rebecca. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you
And
for
we'd
the
also
introduction. Thank you.
we'd also like to welcome Peggy Shin, who is, I learned a few minutes ago, a practitioner emeritus, at least in numbers, but she's got to get it through the system. And and congratulations. That means 20 years of service as a practitioner, and that's pretty exciting. Um, she hails from New Mexico and part-time from Mexico. So she's in both places. And she started um, with the uh, the the Chapala conference some years ago in 2014, I think, the first one, and then she has been working with them ever since, and loves the whole thing about bringing together people and really offering the bilingual aspect, getting the word out in Spanish so that people who are excited about this work and this knowledge can learn it in their own native language. And I think that's really, really key. So, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for inviting us, and happy to do it even at the last minute. We're so thrilled to be able to get fit into your program before our program starts in another week and a half.
That's right.
So, yeah, so you're up for 2022 in a week and a half. How you feeling? You excited?
We're ready.
Okay, good, good.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the conference and who's coming, and just a little bit so people know.
Well, first I'll tell you that this convention was actually born out of the desire of closing relationship between both worlds, the English speaking and the Spanish speaking. It was my dream during my studies at the Holmes Institute, and while in Canada, I didn't miss any Silomar conventions, and it was my dream to have something like this in Mexico, and because I always loved the Lake Chapala and saw the possibilities, I thought this would be a wonderful place. We started very humbly, first as a reunion for I had left and retired, so I came back in a reunion for practitioners. But then it took on its own life, and many talented people have come to assist. And here we are, almost 10 years later, if we count
Wow.
the previous one. So
Right.
we're very happy to be able to provide that space in which truly relationships develop. Our students, most of them do not know each other because they are all over the world. They don't know each other personally. But when they come here, there's a point to meet each other, and also the people from the States, from Canada. There are many, many Spanish-speaking people in the States that attend are the practitioners there. So it's wonderful to be here.
And maybe I could clarify one thing too about the language part that Rebecca's talking about. Since the 2015 convention, it really became the first full-blown convention in a hotel, and more like the convention. As she said, she started in 2012, 2013 with these reunions for practitioners, and in 2014 we had our first thing that was open to the public, which is the first thing that I came to and helped with presentation then. But we were having separate language at that point in time in order to provide the workshops and talks. In 2015, we graduated to simultaneous translation.
Wow.
Like at the UN with your headset on. And so there's no hesitation on part of either language speaker to come to our event now, because the relationship has been melded together. They're all in the same rooms at the same time, hearing the same talk from the same presenters who, by the way, for those of you in CSL who would be interested, we certainly managed to attract, probably mostly thanks to Rebecca's earlier times of scouting these people out. But we have the rock stars of Centers for Spiritual Living as our speakers that come to Mexico as volunteers to present, because they believe in what we're doing too. And they believe in creating that same kind of melding of the relationships. They're very supportive. Kathy Ann Lewis from Seattle, David Bruner from San Jose,
Dr. Edward
Vilhune, our current spiritual leader, international leader from Santa Rosa. All three of them will be here this year. And it's a very intimate kind of setting, like the Asilomar that was mentioned by Rebecca as her dream. I always called it Asilomar South, and then they started going back to having Asilomar again. So we don't say that much anymore, but we got to keep the lines separated out there. And for those of you who are involved with CSL and you think you're going to find us on their website, you're not. You've got to come to the website that's written here at the bottom of the screen, because we're not actually, we're Science of Mind, a new thought meeting that welcomes all and the total diversity of it. But we're not actually officially sponsored through CSL. It's not their events planner that are doing it. It's us as volunteers doing the event planning. We do our best to keep the pricing very low, to keep the Latin American people able to continue to come. And so we run this whole thing on the shoulders of giants and the backs of volunteers. So therein lies the secret sauce for those of you who want to learn how to do this. And we've got a good lineup this year, but it's really the beauty of the people that form these relationships. Right now, for instance, we have people from the Latin American side of things who are providing practitioner help and teaching classes and seminars and workshops for Centers for Spiritual Living in the United States in different places, in Seattle and
wow, that's great.
Napa Valley. I mean, and all of these things are pretty much, if not completely born out of the connections that are made at the convention. They're certainly seated there and fostered from that by what we do, and the people come back and they see each other, like Rebecca said. So, and even if you're new, it's not a big clique. You can come and be brought right into the family. We call it the Amada Comunidad, the beloved community.
So I think it's thank you for that, and I think it's interesting that you're not officially CSL in terms of the conference, et cetera, and how it's done. And yet, considering who your guests are, I think you're pretty official. So it's
That's why I
beautiful
think
thing to have
for us.
that connection.
Why he couldn't find us. He reached out to David Bruner to find out how to find us. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I've learned is that, you know, a lot of things that look official don't really matter. So,
That's right.
you know, it's where your heart is, and that's what I'm hearing here is where the heart is about what this work is and why. And so I maybe Dr. Rebecca, you might respond to, you know, what is it about these teachings that made it so important for you to become, you know, the liaison and to really begin moving it into the Spanish language the way you have?
Oh, well, I was very fortunate to discover Science of Mind when I moved to Canada. I was looking for a doctor because we had moved from the east part of Canada to the west, and there it was a doctor right in front of the house. So that was perfect, but I didn't know that he was also a religious science practitioner. And I started to have wonderful changes. And then I discovered this book on his table, The Basic Principles of Science of Mind. And I said, wow, if this really works the way this says in here, one day I will be doing that. It took me 40 years to do it, but I have been here. And it was always my dream to assist the Spanish-speaking communities that are so deeply ingrained in some beliefs that sometimes don't allow them to
Don't serve
grow,
them.
limiting the beliefs and so on. So anyway, I thought it was wonderful. It changed my life, and I said that one day I dreamt to come back to Mexico, and with a great gift, and I brought Science of Mind, the greatest gift for Mexicans, and also I got a group, an enthusiastic group that assisted with the translation of all the education material, and now we have a growing Spanish-speaking community all over the world, from Spain to all the Latin America, and a very nice community, beloved community too, in the United States. Right. Many Latinos that feel at home with us and that we feel at home with them. And we are hoping that all this will bring our relationship closer and closer every day.
We even have a center in Cuba now.
Yes.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the reason, one of the reasons we titled this show Meet the Family, because we're in so many places, and I can feel us, but you don't always really know. And I know when we had a practitioner meeting and had people talk to us from other countries, it was so people really left feeling like, oh my God, it's real, like it's not just words, and I just want to say to both of you, especially Dr. Rebecca, that I just applaud your courage, both of you, because I'll tell you that when I started Science of Mind,
That's right.
I too thought, oh, I didn't have the same vision, but I thought, oh, this needs to go to all of my people. It needs to go to Mexico. It needs to go to the Americas. I mean, I was thinking primarily Mexico because that's where I have family and went to school. And then I was like, yeah, but I don't want to be the one that's translating. I don't want to do it because I'm always the one that's translating back and forth. And I remember going to home office one time and they're like, and we need translators. I was like, yeah, I just can't do it. So I held the vision, but I didn't jump into the vision.
Keep holding.
It's a lot of work, and it's and it's really, I just applaud what you're doing, because all I hear are great things, and I love working with everybody and all of the Spanish speakers. I work a lot with Lily and Ada and Quota and Mirna.
Look at the relationships that you've formed, Robyn, since we first spoke in 2019.
Yeah.
that weren't there 2 years ago that you have now. This is what it's all about, the relationship building, the community building. And, you know, Rebecca did her lion's share of a lot of that work in Mexico City when she was there. But for the last 15 years, we've had a task force that's been kind of ad hoc to serve the field of Spanish-speaking ministries. And we finished a lot more of the translation work through that as well. And we're still doing it. Now we're working on a project for audiobooks in Spanish.
Wow.
So we're going to get it out there. However, you know, the world that works for everyone is the world that has to work through everyone. And so the
Absolutely.
relationships that we build and the people that we train and the ones that they do and that they do, I mean, that's Rebecca's vision as I understood it when I first started to work with this group of people that we all committed to working to help her, is that she wanted to train the leaders.
Well trained.
She wanted to get the people out
Like
there
I have
who
been.
could each one reach one, teach one kind of thing. And
Absolutely.
and that's where it has been at. And we have some fabulous, fabulous people, some of whom now you've been working with, and you know the quality of their work and their training. And it's just they're the same group of folks who are working on our convention.
Yeah, and that's why we try to incorporate now into our gatherings, you know, at least one, if not more, like Spanish presenters, Spanish speaking presenters. And we love, well, we love pushing buttons. So we love having the people that don't speak Spanish have to use the translation because they're not used to that, you know, and like really it's beyond the Spanish speakers. It's really just as human beings getting an awareness of what other people go through in the world, you know, and so them having to incorporate those things and really start to think about how other people feel when they don't understand or they have to pause and wait to be translated to. It's just it's I think it's really eye-opening. I mean, there's so many levels to what you're
our
doing.
convention builds some of that empathy too, because you know we have internet issues or we have things that go off, and you know people are more spoiled in some parts of the world than they are in others of what they've got.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity to grow. Let's go with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know,
in empathy and in releasing expectations. And that's a big part. You were talking earlier about being an authentic voice, you know, that's really where we're at too, is the authenticity of what we do and how we do it is very transparent, and we hope it attracts people to who we are and what we're doing. And it seems like it has for over the years. And so we're doing more of it, and to keep doing more of it. Rebecca and I are gonna pull back and let these young ones in here and be the speakers for your events and stuff, Robyn, that the people have to get the audio phone to listen to. But
yeah,
the translation,
it's really good.
Wonderful. We wouldn't be where we are right now if it hadn't been for the technology that's come along and the translation work and the Zoom and you know.
Yeah.
We're in the vanguard in the Spanish speaking ministry work that we're doing. Thanks to Rebecca starting it out when she just didn't have any other choice except be in Canada and try to talk to people in Latin America.
Well, you know, we talk a lot about diversity and inclusion, and you know, diversity exists, period. And the question is, are we going to include? And I think that is the beauty of this kind of thing, is that it's very intentional inclusion of folks that haven't necessarily been included in the same way. And by doing that, I believe you're building a culture there that also is desiring to be inclusive.
Right, because we'll
be including more and more, you know, and I see that with a couple different places in the world where this is, you know, New Thought is going. And as I think we were talking before the show that Science of Mind, it's kind of been stuck in the US, you know, for many years. It was pretty localized. It might have creeped over into Canada, but it didn't go far out of the English speaking anything, right?
Right.
And so it's really beautiful to see it being pushed out. And instead of rather being pushed out, that that it's including people in. I think that's more what's happening. It's the idea that how do we touch people that are outside of our normal range, and what can they teach us?
So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how do you find people? I mean, I know you have the crew that you know, but how are you taking it out more into the
Mostly
world?
word of mouth and social media. We do a lot of things with social media. We have a fairly young follow-up of students around late 20s to mid 40s is majority. Uh, so a few older people like me, but not too many like us.
Yeah.
I just had a birthday yesterday, so she's now another year older, technically, than she
Well,
was.
happy birthday.
Yes, thank you.
But it's right. It's the technology. I'm saying if we wouldn't have gotten as far as we've gotten to be where we are today if it hadn't been for the the global brain that is the internet that goes with our global heart.
Well, and I would add the global pandemic pushed
That too.
I was going
And
to
that
us all.
I call that the Corona bonus.
Right.
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
I think that was for us online. When I started online, nobody wanted to be online. I started to attract some of the practitioners, offering them free. Come and see how this works. You can get
For the
credit for
training.
free
Mhm.
and train them for free and take classes with them. And they started to come and really like them, the idea. But it was a real struggle at the beginning with Skype, and all the other ones got to meet and expensive. So when Zoom came, that as a blessing in the sky, and these guys and with the pandemic, what happened to the School of Ministry is that our students didn't have too many other temptations and took courses and more courses with us because they were at home, available, and liked what they were seeing and the group and the community. So that's one of the advantages.
Right.
It was good for us.
I think in general, Zoom has trained the entire world population how to operate online, and the door has been opened very widely, and it's just about our taking advantage of how we can bring people through to our side of the offerings.
Well, I think the illusion is that we don't connect to people if we're looking at them on a screen.
And that
And it's not true,
not the case.
right?
Wow.
It is a little different, and there are some pieces that get somewhat missed, and as technology keeps growing, those pieces are getting more and more integrated. But I have seen wonderful things happen, and Rebecca, you were talking about being on the early edge of things. Robyn and I were part of teaching a Prac 2 class in 2009
Yeah.
and 10, and had a couple students that were out of the area or moved out of the area or whatever. And we were pretty crude. We had the computer and we put them in pairs, and somebody would take the person with them, on their lap, and that was their partner for that particular exercise, or whatever we were doing. But it worked, and people said, "Oh, we can do this. We can communicate." And and now it's very, very possible, and I've seen incredible relationships built that way.
Well, now I feel like I don't even know half of the people that I feel like I'm the closest to. Like, I mean, like
In person, you
in
don't know them.
person. I don't know them in person.
Yeah, your relationship is not the same as if you were meeting them at the
Yeah.
corner deli or something, right? Yeah.
Well, if she met them at the corner deli and they didn't have a box around them, she might not know who they were.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, it's wild. Like our practitioner council meetings, we've been meeting for 3 years, and it's amazing. Our guest producer today, I don't know her, but I've been meeting with her for years I feel like she's one of my best friends, and and I don't know her, but we have this relationship that we've built up, everybody.
Well, and that's the benefit that we have at the convention of bringing together a lot of the people who come are people who've been together in classes online and are interested to get that sense of the deeper connection that they bring with them, and then widen it as well within the context of what we're doing at the convention. And they really, really connect with the people that they already got the connection with. And then we're connecting with people who are new and different. And like you said, we come from a number of different countries. I mentioned Cuba. The Cuba gal can't come; they won't let her out. But she couldn't get a visa. But the
Colombia, Venezuela, Peru.
Yeah, but we have people from Venezuela, Peru, Argentina, Puerto Rico, as well as, that's why we call it the Convention of the Americas.
Right.
Because it really does attract people from all over both North and South America. And so if you're an adventurous person who likes to travel and you've got a spiritual bent about what you want to do with your travel, we've got everything here you need. We've got the people that we brought. You don't even have to go to their country. They'll be here talking about what they're doing and how they're doing it and what's happening. And we do try to involve a little bit of our entertainment and other things with elements to the adventure of, like being in another country, with the music or the dance or whatever. And we offer excursions that you can learn about the area right around here, around Lake Chapala. We have a
great food.
Yeah, wonderful food.
Great food.
And so we have a something like, there's a big power of attraction here. There's a spiritual vortex here. This is a lake surrounded by volcanoes. And an area that is not that highly populated. We're near the second largest city in Mexico, so you can get everything you want, but we're not necessarily in the midst of all of that. So there's a very more tranquil lifestyle here. And my last count, I think we have about 7 retired Centers for Spiritual Living ministers living here.
Yeah, no, it's
wow.
She says it's more now. Okay,
9.
so and the ones who come for the convention, I don't think there's hardly a one that doesn't say, boy, I'd like to think about coming down here, So,
so you also, though,
we're building a live community here at the same time that we've been working from it online.
Right. And I was going to say, and even with the conference, I know it was created to bring the people together, and yet there's a sense of partly due to COVID where you had to go online to some degree with the conference, and now looking at how can we continue that for those that for whatever reasons, like the woman in Cuba or others, can't travel, or just wouldn't be able to in that particular time frame, they can actually participate as well. And I know you're working on developing that as well. Is that right?
Yeah, we've had a virtual event since 2020.
2020 was totally virtual.
When we were totally virtual.
Totally virtual and very well. We had a lot of people.
I was there.
Yeah, I remember tuning into that for a minute.
Yeah, Robyn came.
It was well done. It was really great things.
Both a combination of in person and virtual.
Yeah, we had a small, almost by private invitation only kind of a thing last year. This year we're full tilt out to the public again, but our virtual this year is probably going to be a little bit later in the fall.
Yes.
So watch for that.
Okay.
Conventionoftheamericas.com.
Yeah, that's a great thing to know that they're not happening simultaneously, so people don't.
Oh, that's true.
Don't think that they've missed it. So I think it's a great time to hear from David Bruner.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Are you doing that?
Yeah, let me do it. Okay, you guys ready to hear from David Bruner? He'll give a little plug here for you all. Okay, I gotta do this. And I gotta go here.
Hey there, I'm David Bruner, and I am at the conference that happens every summer, Ciencia de la Mente, which is a Spanish-speaking Science of Mind conference, but it is filled with Canadians and Americans and Mexicans and Peruvians and Puerto Ricans and Venezuelans, and we have something in common, and that is that you and I find opportunities to remember who we really are. This conference happens at the Lake Chapala area of Mexico, just south of Guadalajara. And regardless of whether you speak a lot of Spanish, whether you're fluent, or you don't even speak a word, there is a place for you here. There's opportunities for connection around meals. The environment is extraordinary. There are vendors who can satisfy the shopping bug in you, and there is opportunity for prayer and meditation and classes and connection, and probably most importantly, to experience the Latino culture in which collaboration and partnerships and community are the most important. So I hope to see you here. I'll do my best to be here every year. Take care. Bye.
Wow, thank you.
Gracias.
So did he sum it up pretty well?
He did. He did. Yes, indeed.
So what is your desire for what people take home?
Last year he couldn't come because he was exposed to he and his family were exposed to COVID just ahead of it, and he had to stay home in quarantine. Or he had been here then too.
Yeah. So what, he talked a little bit about what's available there, and I was just wondering what's the most important thing for you for people to leave
To take
from this
away
with?
from
They're going to go home, and what are they taking with them?
I hope a different perspective than they came with. Like I mentioned earlier, there's expectations, there's differences that, whenever you sign up for something like a convention or a workshop, the journey starts from that moment. And so you're already thinking about it before you get here. You might have certain ideas and goals and intentions around what you want to do. And those are wonderful and great. And yet we're going to add to that, and we're going to open that up for you a little bit wider, I hope, from your coming here, because we're on an English speaking program. So I'm assuming most of the people that we're going to be talking to are not Latinos themselves. And that they will, our theme this year is Be the Light. Our theme almost every year has something about the light in it. And we're recognizing that the world we're living in today seems to more than ever be opening up to receiving more light. There's a sort of a breakdown to get to breakthrough that's going on, perhaps. And that's individually as well as collectively, that people can come here and leave here with a new sense of self, of like David said, really learning who they are, remembering who we are and whose we are. And they'll leave here, I hope, with a renewal of that, or a reopening to it that they may not have come in the door with. And it's an opportunity within a natural setting of beauty that you could see in the background there in David's testimonial. Shameless plug, I guess we'll call it. And and it looks exactly like you saw it there. It's a gorgeous area. You have a lot of opportunity, as you said, to be in prayer and meditation, to be connecting with people, as Rebecca said, to eat fabulous food, to be able to have entertainment and excursions, or it's all here for. We have thermal water in the hotel where you can go to the hot springs bathtub, big swimming pool tub that they have, as well as swimming, tennis. One of our excursions involves a boat ride on the lake to a couple of islands that are out there in the lake, one of which has a great deal of history in the Mexican Revolution time frame, but also another island that has been very sacred to the indigenous peoples for many years. There's a multicultural element here too, because there's a lot of expats that live in this area, as well as the indigenous people, as well as the Mexican and Latino groups, and people from all over Europe are living here too. It's quite the attraction. And
I have to say that I think
you can hardly get words to really explain what you could come away here with.
Yeah, I just want to add that I think that I mean, conferences and conventions, you always have the great workshops and all of that, but I have to I can only imagine, and from what I felt last year, that, and I'm a little biased, but that you take away so much from the culture and from just being in Mexico, and like you said, Lake Chapala is a special place. It's not. You do arrive in the city. You arrive in the city, and there's times when I've gone to Mexico and I've been like, "Oh, this is worse than being in downtown LA." And then you get to the giant trees and the lake and it's magical. And I really think like you've got to take home such a different a different I mean, to me, the Mexican people so um embody faith for me, faith and love. And when you even when you said you you take away who and whose you are. It's like when I was growing up and lived in Mexico and went to school there, one of the things was how much they didn't veer from the love, and I think it's such a in this time we're living in, especially, so important that love. And I can't help but think that that's like the overall
It is.
clue to
You're
this.
right. Yeah.
You're the passion the two of you have, and
You got to come here to get it, in a sense. You can get it through the internet as well, but like you said, what you feel when you come on to get your feet on the ground down here, it's different.
I think you're going to live with lots of great memories, new perspectives, new friends, and desire to come back.
Right. We've never had a survey answer that was negative that said, I'm never coming back, I hated it, or anything of that character. And we've always had people said, I'm coming back anytime I can. And that pretty much has been the way it has happened, that people do come back. And we've lost a little bit of that momentum with the pandemic, I'm afraid, but we're going to build it back up. And there's just no super negative here that can't be overcome. And this love you're talking about, I always say that the compassion and love is in the DNA of the Latin American people. It is just part of who they have been, who they are, and who they will be for generations and generations to come. And we have lost some of that humanity, I believe, in the harder nosed sort of, Anglo-Saxon sort of world. And it's good to be able to have it exemplified out the entire event. The waiters, the staff at the hotel, the people who are there, who are in service to us, love us and we love them. They want us to come back every year. They ask about it. I go to the hotel and the waiters will come up and say, when are you guys coming? When are you guys coming? Because they love us too, because we have a consciousness level that many of their guests don't have.
right.
Well, I think it's beautiful that is part of the whole thing, is how what is it we can what is it we're missing when we don't include others in our lives? And I think we don't often realize it. And so when we can create situations where people are brought together and they can experience another culture, they can just experience another group of folks, whatever it is, it changes one's perspective. And I believe it does increase the whole idea of creating compassion and understanding what it means to create a world that really works. Right.
That's right. And there are these concerns sometimes that people have about language, but love is the universal language. That's what I think what Robyn's pointing out too, and it's the people here are very fluent in the language of love.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
So once again, the dates of the conference this year?
August 2nd through 6th. We start Tuesday afternoon, the 2nd, with the opening ceremonies and calling in the 4 directions of the indigenous people from here doing that. And then Rebecca will be putting on the formal ceremonies inside. And we have lunch before that. We feed you a lot. Like Rebecca said, there's a lot of good food here. And we'll end Saturday morning with a gratitude goodbye breakfast. And there's full day all day Wednesday, full day all day Friday. And Thursday, we have the morning, we have the graduation of our 3 newest ministerial graduates, and a representation of about 6 of the 10 practitioners from the global Corazon Global. I can't get it out right in Spanish or English, either way, from Tijuana, who are going to be there. And one from the Ubuntu Center in Peru, in Lima, Peru, will be graduating also. So we're having that ceremony on Thursday mornings, and then we'll have a celebration brunch, and we'll let people go for the afternoon to do their own thing or to go on the excursions. We have opportunity for them to do the boat trip on the lake that I mentioned, or go to the more centered area to the west of here, where the thermal baths are a big deal. And we have a community service project opportunity for people to go to at a place called Love in Action, which is an orphanage that isn't actually an orphanage, but it's more like a place where there's no such thing in Mexico as foster care, but there is such a thing as taking kids out of abusive or neglective homes. The problem is, where do they go if their family doesn't, if some other member of the family doesn't take them in? And so the Love in Action program was founded by someone who saw the need for that and who had been through a circumstance in her own life. She's Mexican. And it's a great use of our time and resources to help them, we feel. And so we offer that as an opportunity for people who just want to go do a community service and want to feel like they've really been out into the community and seen the town and that sort of thing. They'll get that opportunity. And then Saturday morning, after we have breakfast and say goodbye to everybody, check out the hotel, we have another excursion that's a day-long kind of a thing to some relatively more recently discovered pyramid mounds that are nearby here. Not like the pyramids of the sun that you see in Mexico City, but nonetheless a very interesting archaeological spot and a lot of interesting background and history of this area.
They're round pyramids, very unusual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have the concentric kind of a thing, like the more triangulated pyramids, but they're circular or oval. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, cool.
Because, totally different indigenous group of people that are all in the same country now in Mexico, but we're different tribes and different governmental entities at that time, and they each had their own culture and their own style.
Well, clearly it's an experience. It's an experience, and it sounds well worth every penny of it. I know it's going to be fantastic. I don't think I'm going to make it this year, but it's definitely on my calendar for next year. And I just encourage anybody that can make it, can be there, that, that wants to know more about it, to contact you at the convention address that's up on the screen, and just find out about it. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. I can feel the energy, and I just
I think I mentioned that there's a lot of energy building up in our Facebook. That is a private Facebook group. So if you go to the conventionoftheamericas.com and you scroll past the registration page link, there's another link that says join our Facebook group. And everybody's welcome to do that. Doesn't matter whether you're coming to the convention or not. And it's a great place to get educated about what we're up to, who we are, and kind of be the voyeur and peek in on us. And we have rooms still available at the hotel, which is not all that common. So we're still able to take more registrations all the way up probably till the very last date.
Wow. Okay.
Great.
Okay. So people should check it out.
Sure.
And if you're feeling like you're called to something a little bit different, or you've been called for years and you've never stuck your foot out yet, it's time to go, right? So let's go
You've been
check
thinking about coming and you haven't made up your mind yet because you come before and you're not sure, call me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for jumping in at the last minute. And it's so great to be with you and to get to know you a little bit, Dr. Rebecca. And we just look forward to more of what's to come. So thank you. And we at New Thought Media are hoping we'll be able to partner with you on some of this next year and really make it a fantastic event. So yay.
Well, I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys in Albuquerque. I know that's one of the reasons you can't come this year because you're in the midst of a move. physical move as well as a adjustment on all levels. I'm quite
Yeah,
sure.
adjustment move. Yes.
Exactly. I'm only
So
250 miles south of you in Las Cruces from Albuquerque. So my daughter lives there. I'll be seeing you.
all right, we'll look forward to it. And Dr. Rebecca, I hope we'll be able to meet you in person someday, but truly a joy to meet you today.
Thank you.
Really.
Thanks for having us. Have a blessed day.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much. All right.
All right. So we hope to see you next week when we have authentic voices. And we want to give our guest producer a special shout out, the award winning Laura Topper from Cosmic Prayer and everything else. Laura is everywhere.
From the UK. Let's just say that. How's that? She's from the UK, and I think she's coming to you today from her kitchen. I'm not sure, but she's usually watching Jason make food. So anyway, we're happy to have her. We love her. Thank you so much for helping us out too.
Okay.
And we'll be back next week, whether you like it or not.
But before we go, we really are hoping to partner on a lot of great projects and do a lot of great things right now. The reason Laura is here because our producer is off with everybody doing the INTA conference, and we're everywhere doing great work. So if you want to be a part of that, we just ask that you drop a little donation at newthoughtmedianetwork.org, and we just appreciate it so much. We really, really do. Your money just helps us to continue to do this work and to be able to gift some stuff to other people who can't maybe afford to pay but are doing good work and getting it out there. So we're all doing it together. So everybody keep on rocking the love this week because the world needs you and it. Thank you so much.
Rockin' the Love.
Take